Yeah, hi folks. Now in my last video I questioned whether New Zealand's vaccine passports with QR codes attached had a global communism link, given the UN's Great Reset and Build Back Better plans. Well, now I'm even more convinced, and hat tip to Sally for today's video, and hat tip to NZ Patriot as well for nudging me to have a closer look at that video.
G'day guys, how you doing? It's the Kiwi here, back with another video. And in this video we're going to be talking about some subject matter that I feel that nobody is really talking about. And the reason why I say that is I've been watching a couple of videos over the last couple of weeks from certain YouTube content producers on this subject of all this tracer, facial recognition stuff, everything like that. And they're not telling you the truth. One of them happens to be Russell Brand. And I hate to say this, Russell, not that you'll watch this video, but the reality of the situation is you're not finding this information, or if you are finding this information, you're not telling people about it. Because what's going on is so far above and beyond just facial recognition technology, it is mind-blowing. You see, Russell's been doing some videos about facial recognition technology and tracer stuff and everything like that in Australia. And the reality of the situation is this is already happening in New Zealand. Now, if you go to the description section below, there is a link. If you click on that link, you'll see where the link is from. When you scroll down a little bit, you'll see a PDF. Click on that PDF. What you're going to see is a full report from that global organization in regards to reimagining regulation in the age of artificial intelligence. And you will see exactly which country is going to be the first full artificial intelligence ran country on the planet. And that country is New Zealand. New Zealand has signed up, yet again, to be the guinea pig for modern technology. You see, New Zealand's been the guinea pig for all sorts of social, political, and technological experiments for most probably 100 years. How do I know that? Well, my uncle, a gentleman by the name of Trevor Bryant, used to be the Commissioner of Crown Lands for the South Island of New Zealand during the 1980s. Said uncle was also personal friends with the then Prime Minister, David Lange. During the 80s, my father and my uncle used to get into these bang-up arguments about the one world government and the one world cashless society, and how New Zealand was going to be the first cashless society, or be utilized as the experiment for the first cashless society on the face of the earth. I was literally talking to that uncle Christmas time of 2019 in Blenheim, New Zealand. And in discussing this stuff with him, he goes, "We're just about there, Lawrence. We're just about there." Yeah, really pretty amazing. So it makes one wonder if everything that's been happening for the last 2 years or so hasn't been planned in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. It has been, 100%. That's all there is to it. Because when you open that link and then open the PDF, scroll down to page 5, the bottom of page 5, and you'll see project timeline.
Now I recorded that bit yesterday. Pilot timeline. The project schedule is as follows. Scoping, September to December 2019. Build core project community of key stakeholders and identify primary issues and knowledge base. Co-designing, January to June 2020. Work with the project community to frame the conversation of AI regulation. identify focus areas, draft governance frameworks and select pilot projects. Testing, July to December 2020. Pilot new approaches and tools for AI regulation and capture lessons and share findings. Scaling, January 2021 onward. Encourage broad adoption of the design governance frameworks and tools based on lessons learned from pilot implementations. And all of this is happening right now.
Now, see, in New Zealand, I was in New Zealand, living down there, and what I experienced after the first lockdown, the first thing that they started to get you to do was download a tracer app for these things, these little magic black boxes that we carry with us everywhere these days. And people were downloading this tracer app like nothing else on earth. Now, I know for a fact through different associations, and they can track you anywhere. You don't need a tracer app on your phone. But the reality was the tracer app was the first step in this digital passport that they're rolling out in New Zealand now.
Exactly. Anyway, let's have a look at his link. Reimagining Regulation for the Age of AI, New Zealand Pilot Project. World Economic Forum, the UN, Global Communism Headquarters. Contents, introduction, project overview. This is the first global multi-stakeholder effort to co-design regulatory frameworks for AI informed by policy pilots. And there we have the beehive. Working with New Zealand government. Now you'll notice they didn't say working with the Labour New Zealand government or the National New Zealand government, because they both want this. They are both exactly the same. We haven't had democracy in New Zealand now for decades now. Project timeline, I showed you that before. Reimagining AI Regulation. This project focuses on identifying and iterating innovative approaches and tools for regulating. Tools for regulating. So now, folks, let's have a look at our future.
They're constantly monitored by facial recognition cameras that are able to instantly put a face to a name. Now the Chinese are also ranked, given a mark out of a possible 950 points. A score in the 700s is considered good.
Vaccinated.
Around the 500 mark is not.
Unvaccinated.
For now, the number is a sort of bank credit rating, keeping track of everyone's spending habits.
I think being ranked is a good thing. A society has to have rules.
It forces us to be well behaved.
It may seem scary, but it's just like that here. We're used to it, and anyway, we don't have a choice.
But in an effort to keep all of its subjects in line, Beijing is taking the system a step further in 2020. It's aggregating data gathered by banks, private companies, and the state to rate if someone's a good or bad citizen.
By using the most data possible, the so-called big data, the system will play an important role in rebuilding a moral society.
The state will go over every detail of a person's life with a fine-tooth comb. Their financial situation, spending habits, career, even behaviour on social media. Criticising the government online or
criticising Ardern's vaccine passport.
displaying outward signs of wealth is a no-no. On the other hand, praising the party or giving blood increases your social credit. Xiao Wen-Wang is a model citizen. She lives in Nanjing, a testing ground for social ranking. Married with a child, she has a job in a retirement home, no debts, and she wouldn't dream of jaywalking.
As a good citizen, I respect the rules of the road. If I didn't, I'd lose points on my social credit.
In theory, everything can be taken into account in the social score, even the most innocuous errands like supermarket shopping. When Xiao Wen-Wang makes an electronic payment, her purchases tell the state a lot about her. Buying cigarettes would count against her. On the other hand, nappies show she's an attentive mother. Beer could indicate alcoholism. She'd be better off buying water. In this pilot city of 8 million people, there are only 18,000 model citizens. For Xiao Wen-Wang, there are perks to be had, such as paying half price for the bus.
I get discounts for all public services, even at museums. And the library is free for me, thanks to my score.
A good score brings benefits, but people with low scores lose rights. The cinema names and shames people considered untrustworthy, plastering their details, even their addresses, across big screens.
It's a matter of principle. Those people have to be condemned.
Those people aren't honest, so they have to pay the price.
It's only right to pay your debts. You have to blacklist those that don't.
The Supreme Court has created a blacklist for so-called bad citizens, those whose ratings have dropped to zero. On it are companies, but also 23 million people to date. Among them is this journalist Liu Hu. He got a little too close to uncovering corruption among high-profile party members.
Yeah, he reported on He Purpur.
After being sued for defamation by the subject of a story he'd written, he was blacklisted. But he only realised when he tried to buy a train ticket and was told he was banned from travelling.
That tells me I'm still on the blacklist.
Punished because he's been branded untrustworthy by the state.
Once you're blacklisted, you can no longer get a bank loan, start a business, buy an apartment, or even send your children to a private school.
Liu Hu is among a tiny minority of people who have dared to criticize the system, which some are calling a digital dictatorship.
I worry, because I think many people like me will be deprived of individual freedoms, and all of us will live with restrictions of one kind or another.
After our meeting, Liu Hu learned that his name had been removed from the blacklist, but he still has a long way to go if he doesn't want to languish at the bottom of the social credit hierarchy.
Now, folks, I've posted all the relevant links below, and I'll leave it there today.